Guys, our girl Teresa, she just launched a new podcast. No, we're not going to talk about what happened between her and Melissa Pfister when it comes to Namaste Bleeps, but let's just carry on and talk about her new podcast and her latest episode. She had on Kim D and Jacqueline Laurita, as well her daughter, but I'm only going to cover the juicy bits when it comes to her conversation with Kim D and Jacqueline. I cover Housewives, Bravo Loves, and some good pop culture tea. So definitely subscribe, get your girl to 1,000. Much appreciated. And with that said, let's get into it. All right. So Teresa, right off the bat, was like, hey, we're not having a reunion this year. So let me do my like mini reunion. So she had on Jacqueline Laurita, who was there since season one and OG of Real Housewives of New Jersey, as well. Kim D was invited on. And it was honestly such a treat before I get into it. And if you guys go on the comments of this episode, it's on YouTube. You guys can go watch it. The comments are so positive, like OG Jersey fans. It's just like this was the fun. I mean, obviously Jersey was always a little dark, but this was still kind of like a fun conversation, and just seeing these women, all of their faces on the same screen at once, truly what a treat. But anyways, they talk about how Teresa met Jacqueline, how Jacqueline and Dina were shopping, and that's how they met Teresa. And clearly, Teresa and Jacqueline, one thought one had nice tits, the other one thought the other one had a nice butt. Basically, it was like, oh, you're a hot mom, I'm a hot mom. Cool, let's hang out. You know, when you see those like hot moms with the strollers at the park or whatever, that's kind of what these, Jersey moms give me. It's like, oh, we got young, cute little kids. We're shopping all day. You're a yummy mummy. I'm a yummy mummy. Let's, go and like hang out, and our kids can like play together. So like that's what I kind of like as Jacqueline and Teresa were just going over when they met. That's kind of what I was picturing. I'm like, oh, it was back in the day. They're both, I'm assuming they're probably in their 30s at that time, or maybe even earlier, because they met like 7 years prior to the show. So it was just like a nice treat going down memory lane. And then Jacqueline, she was on the show, what, like the first 7 seasons. Now, I did notice, even though this is Teresa's podcast, it was mostly Kim D driving the conversation. And Kim D, she might be in her 60s, I think, but she is so sharp. And she, of course, has her own podcast now. So congrats to Kim D. But, anyways, they talk about how they met or not how they met. They talk about how the show got started. So apparently at the local salon, they were asking for some names, and Jacqueline gave Teresa's name. She also gave Dolores's name. Um, but Dolores's boyfriend at the time apparently didn't want to do it. I don't know what's up with Dolores and like the men she picks. Not a good picker. Gorgeous women, but like not a good picker. Anyways, they move on to the fact that when they signed on to Real Housewives of New Jersey, they didn't, like Teresa, she didn't even have like a lawyer take a look at it. And I'm just thinking, Teresa, you gotta like, get like accountants, lawyers, legit business managers. You gotta have these people in your corner to, take a look at these things. And Teresa, Jacqueline, they just thought like, hey, you know what? It's a good way to make some money. Like they're gonna follow us around with cameras. We're gonna do our regular mom stuff throughout the day. And they were saying, oh, we're thinking about getting a job anyway, so this is a good way to like hang out with their kids, like do laundry, and have the cameras, film us. And there was a scene where I had to like watch it a couple times because Jacqueline was saying how her kid was like, I don't know, like 6 at the time of filming. And then and then her kid is like 22 now, and then Teresa's like trying to do like the math in her head, and she's just like, wait a minute, your kid is how old now? So hold on, let me see if I can find. So Kim D and Jacqueline are just talking, talking, talking. Teresa's like, she's like, wait, 22, 6. I'm assuming she took out her phone and was using the calculator app. And then Teresa's like, wait, 22 minus 6. It's 16. I'm just like, oh my God, this is why this lady has been on our screens for like 14 years now, because she is just naturally so funny. Like, say what you want about Teresa, whatever, but this woman has raised, four amazing, smart girls, and she does a lot of work. She's, clearly captivating enough where Bravo's keeping her around for 14 seasons. So I don't know. I thought that was like really funny, and I had to like rewatch it a couple times. And if you look at this still image that I got, you could see Kim D is getting such a kick out of it when Teresa's like, wait, 22 minus 6? It's 16. I don't know. She was like trying to calculate like the age, I don't know, the time span between when Jacqueline's kid, I guess, was on the show or when they left the show, and then like how old he is now. It was just a very cute, conversation. But anyways, we move on to the notorious furniture scene. And here's the thing. Obviously, these shows aren't scripted. However, there are producers. They have to move the story along. And they also give props to Carlos King, because Carlos King at that time started on New Jersey. And like he, of course, did a great job on Jersey. And Teresa is basically like the feds came after her because of this like darn cash scene, because she was saying like the money that she had on hand, she had maybe a couple $100, and then Jacqueline Laurita maybe had a couple $100. This was at the furniture store when she was furnishing her house, and then apparently the producers gave her a couple $100, or they gave her some money, so then it looks like she had like all this cash that she had brought to the furniture store. And then the way they edited it, and then they like produced it, like the final edit that we got on air, the number that was on the calculator, if Teresa were to pay that amount in cash, they were just joking, like they would need a briefcase essentially, because like here, yeah, you have a couple $100 maybe, but the amount on the calculator, they were joking like she would need like a briefcase for all that cash. So here's the thing, guys. I think once Real Housewives started airing, and we have these like wealthy housewives, the one percenters behind gated communities, I think there was a newly created division for the feds where all they do now is just watch these reality stars on Housewives and other shows where they basically flex their wealth. And I'm sure that's now opened up to social media where the feds just, takes a look at, oh, little Bobby over there. It must be his money from, I don't know, crypto or whatever. This is my own theory, guys. Anyways, back to the podcast. So they go on to talk about like how much they made. And again, this is Teresa's podcast, but Kim D, I've noticed, was truly driving the conversation and like asking all the questions. And Kim D was like, "Oh, so how much did you guys make? Like that first season?" And Teresa, Jacqueline, they wouldn't answer. And then Kim D's like, "Oh, did you guys make like 10K?" They're like, "No, more." And then she's like, 20K. They're like, just a little bit more. So I'm thinking they made maybe like just a little over 20K. But the girls were like, "Well, whatever we made, we pretty much, spent it all on like, clothes and parties and whatever." And then the following season, they pretty much banded together and then started to make like some decent money. But yeah, for a couple months of filming, these women, housewives in general, it's definitely a nice paycheck. Now, this was like kind of sad to hear about, but at the end of the day, like these were their lives. Like, you know, this is what the show did to their actual lives and relationships. Essentially, Teresa and Jacqueline, they were like good friends for like 6, 7 years before the show came into their lives. They were just, I don't know, talk on the phone all day, do laundry, do chores. And then once they were both on the show, and there were, of course, other people in the mix, it just seems like people were in their ears. This is according to them. And because of that, they started to their friendship started to dwindle, and they kind of like go into that. So again, guys, like I'm just kind of doing like my mini recap, but you guys should definitely watch it. It was such a treat to watch. But anyways, and they also talk about rekindling their friendship in Vegas. And because I don't know if you guys remember, it was like all of a sudden we were seeing pictures of Jacqueline and Teresa. And it's like, wait a minute, Jacqueline doesn't even live in Jersey anymore. And like, we, the fans who, follow or Housewives, not just the show, but like their day-to-day lives, it was like, wait, Jacqueline and Teresa, they're not like really friends like that anymore. So I guess they're rekindling their friendship. And we saw pictures of Jacqueline and her husband, Teresa and Louis, at like some lunch, dinner, which they had in Vegas. And they were both like, yeah, the lunch was like 3, 4, 5 hours. They just like fell right back into their friendship. And I just felt like that was like such a like good way to like talk about their friendship, like how it started, how things went during filming, and then like where they are now. And now Kim D. So Kim D actually has a book out now, or it's coming out now. So you guys will probably see Kim D, doing a lot of podcast and whatnot to obviously market her new book. And it turns out Teresa and Jacqueline, they both wrote forwards in her book, which is um, really sweet. And that's like pretty much it, guys. They're gonna do so. This was kind of like part one, and then there's gonna be, I guess, like the following episode of Teresa's podcast. They're gonna do like the part two version, like the latter half of this conversation between Teresa, Jacqueline, and Kim D, or as Teresa calls it, her mini reunion, since there is no reunion this year, since the Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion got canceled this year. But anyways, I am definitely gonna watch her next episode where she has Kim D and Jacqueline on the remainder of this conversation. Um, it was a treat, guys. That's really all I have to say. With that said, I'm going to continue the Real Housewives of New Jersey recaps, cover all things, Jersey, other housewives conversations. If you haven't subscribed already, what are you doing? I cover housewives, Bravo loves, and just, in general, pop culture tea. I will catch you all next time. Take care.